Hey, it's Teresa from Life Beyond Diabetes, and I'm going to tell you a little story about my week because it's been a little bit more eventful than usual. Not in any big deal way, I guess, but it was kind of a big deal to me. On Tuesday morning, I woke up with a little bit of a cold. Not a big deal under normal circumstances, right? But I had sniffles, a little congestion, a little headache, kind of tiny bit of a sore throat, cough. And normally I'd kind of just roll over, take some cold medicine, get on with my day, whatever. But we're not living in normal times, right? We are living in the world of COVID-19. I have recently started seeing a couple patients in my clinic, totally unrelated to this cold. I think we're doing a very excellent job of staying clean, having no contact visits. But what that means though is that until I got tested for COVID, I would not be able to see my clients again. So I immediately went online, looked to find out where there was testing available. It happens to be in my city, we have drive-through testing available. I was able to get in for a test later that day. And the test was not that big of a deal. I was drive-through testing that we have available in our city. So I went and had my test. They do. It's a if you're not familiar with what it is, it's a kind of a not quite a Q-tip. It's a little bit scratchier than a Q-tip, and they stick it way up inside your nostril. Kind of they said like you're tickling your brain, and it has to stay in there for a count of 10, which feels like an eternity. And then they do it on the other side. So basically, it's not comfortable, but it's not the end of the world. Anyway, I had my COVID-19 testing. I'm sure it'll happen again. I'm sure it probably will happen to you if it hasn't happened already, because this is the world we live in right now. And they told me it would take 48 to 72 hours to get my test results back. Of course, I was anxious, so I started looking. The next morning, immediately when I got up, I started looking, and I had my test results back in about 24 hours, and I tested negative. I'm just a little cold. Again, I'm a little curious about where I picked up a virus because I have been living very carefully, completely still in isolation, washing my hands like crazy, wearing a mask whenever I'm out, doing all the things that you're supposed to do to protect yourself and to protect others. But what does all these beyond diabetes? I don't talk a lot about COVID around here because I talk about diabetes. Well, this does have to do with diabetes because, as you know, diabetes is mentioned frequently as one of the things that is a big concern with COVID-19. They talk about the higher risk factors of having diabetes. Well, first of all, I want to remind you, and I did a live about this months ago, earlier on, I remind you that merely having diabetes does not put you at higher risk for getting COVID-19. Doesn't put you at any higher risk for contracting the virus itself. Nor does it, even having diabetes, put you at higher risk for complications. Having uncontrolled diabetes does put you at higher risk for complications. It does not put you at higher risk for contracting the virus. So what that means for those of us with diabetes is that we need to make sure that our diabetes is well managed. So that's just the reminder that you need to be doing everything you can to keep your blood sugars under control now more than ever, because if you get COVID-19, you want to make sure that you are as healthy as you can going into it to prevent complications. So that's one thing. The other thing is that while I was sitting there, the whole process took about an hour. The line was really long at the drive-thru. It was about 3 blocks long when I arrived. And it took me, from the time I arrived to the time I left, it was almost exactly an hour from the time I got in line at the drive-up testing site. And during that time, one of the things that I thought about was that we are living in what is our new normal right now. We keep talking about what's the new normal going to look like. And at least for those of us in the US, I don't think there's any big change in our foreseeable future right now we need to adapt to what we have. We need to adapt to the fact that we're in isolation, or should be in isolation, or some form of isolation going forward, to protect ourselves and to protect others, and those we love, and even the strangers in our community. To protect each other, we need to maintain our isolation and our social distancing. We need to figure out how to make that work in a way that's healthy for us mentally and socially, as well as physically. So this is the new normal for now. Not forever, but for now. We don't know how long that's going to last. So we need to acknowledge that right now is the new normal. So what does that mean, though, going forward? And how does that affect how we live our lives? So again, for people with diabetes, that means it is incredibly important to prioritize your blood sugar, because while this disease is out there and remains a risk, we need to do everything we can to avoid getting the complications if we do happen to get the disease. Okay, I want you to stay alive. I want you to stay as healthy as you can. So if you happen to get the disease, I want you to be healthy and to not end up being one of the statistics. So keep your blood sugars well managed. Talk with your own medical provider about how to do that. I've got lots of tips and tricks for staying as healthy as you can with your diabetes. And that should be one of the things that's forefront of your mind. The other thing is that I hear a lot of talk about, well, I'm going to do this when we get back to the new normal. I'm going to start exercising again when we get back to the new normal. I'm going to start eating right when we get back to the new normal. I'm going to take off this weight that I've put on. A lot of people are calling it the COVID-19. Well, this is the new normal. It's time to start doing those things now. And while it might be difficult because, the gyms are closed, it's harder to get out and exercise in the ways we used to, we need to figure out ways to make it work now, okay? Because we don't know how long it's going to be. So this is your pep talk, your get up and do it pep talk, because it's important to make sure that you're taking control of your health and you're doing it now, not waiting until the new normal hits, because this is, right now, is the new normal. So, if you've put on some weight, it's time to start looking at what you can do to get that weight back off, because we know that weight is an important issue. Now, if you've spent any time with me, you know that I think weight is important, but weight is important as a result of lifestyle factors. So usually, if you're eating well and eating right and taking care of your mental health and your physical health, your weight is going to stabilize at the weight that it needs to be. So I don't want you to think, oh my goodness, I put on this weight, I need to really focus on getting the weight off. Let's focus on eating well, getting the carbs out of your diet, cutting out the junk. If you've added in extra alcohol, maybe cutting back to, your health. I'm not going to say don't drink alcohol. If that's not if you like to drink a little bit of alcohol, moderation, of course, but cut back to someplace that's healthy for you. Okay. Cut out the sodas. If you've been baking bread, cut out the bread. It's time to get back to the pre-pandemic way of eating. Activity. If your gym is closed, figure out something else. Go for walks, go for runs, set up something in your house. I've talked about this before. A lot of gyms are offering video classes. There's a lot of online opportunities. There's a lot of online challenges for, if you've never been a runner before and you want to take up running, you can join online challenges and online coaches, and you can work with people and learn how to do something that's different than what you did before if you're somebody who relied on the gym. So, we got to get back to figuring out how to live the healthiest life that you absolutely can, because I believe we can be as healthy as we were before, maybe healthier, and stay healthy through this. And of course, stay healthy. Avoid getting COVID-19, and wear a mask when you're out in public. That protects you and protects other people. Wash your hands. All the common sense stuff. Do that stuff. one of the things I will say, people are concerned, a lot of the media talks about there's a lot of photos of people going to the beach and crowded at, they'll say, don't be out in the public because that's where the disease spreads. Well, there's no super spreader events that have happened at the beach when people are spread out. Things aren't happening at the parks when people are just going to the beach and just going to the parks. Maybe the big organized events, yeah, but none of the stuff of just showing up at the beach. So go be active outside. Move, wear your mask if you're around people, but get out and be active. It's great for your mental health, great for your physical health, and take care of yourself. So I would love to hear what you think of the new normal. How are you adjusting to what is our new normal? Or, I know kind of what's going on in my little corner of the US, and really, literally, I'm in the corner. I'm up in the Northwest in Washington State. What's happening in the rest of the world? So if you're somewhere else in another part of the country or another part of the world, I want to know. So please drop me a comment. Tell me what's happening, or send me a DM. I want to know how the place that you are is adjusting to COVID-19, what you're doing differently, and how you're settling in. So I would love to hear from you. I will be right back here again next Thursday, as always, at 2:30 Pacific. I will see you then, and I hope you have a lovely week and figure out some new way to add in something healthy you can do. I hope you do not need to go get your brain tickled this week, but if you do, know that you'll survive. It's not the end of the world. It's not the worst thing that's ever happened. And no matter what, just remember, you've got this, whatever comes. See you next week. Bye.